Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our Ted Lasso Season 4, Episode 2 reaction and review. Is anyone else smiling out there? Because this is the episode I feel like Ted Lasso is actually back.
Absolutely. I really wish that this was actually the first episode that
Yeah.
we had like a little 10-minute of him, going out there. But like, man, getting to know the women on the soccer team. Chilton, what an excellent character. She is so fun.
Yes.
And it was really cool to see her sort of where we first met her and kind of melting into Ted as everybody does. She just feels a lot like Roy.
She does. Maybe that's why because Roy's my favorite character. I loved having Roy back. We'll talk about a couple of moments later on in this video. But yeah, I agree with you that the premiere, it should have all been lumped together because it's just like the stuff back in America. I understand there were a few points that they needed to hit, why Ted's going back.
It could have been an email.
Yeah, it really could have. It could have just been, we get an update at the start of this episode. This is everything that has happened because this is a fish out of water story for Ted. And he gets reacclimated, and there's just like so much nostalgia in the early part of the episode. We get to see, his hater back on the street. We get to go back to the pub. We get to see these sort of familiar settings, and we get these reminders that some things are similar, but then also it has been years. Like parts of the neighborhood are different. Like he has to kind of reacclimate himself.
Absolutely. This really felt like I was back in the show. Like, we liked the premiere pretty well, but there was also some problems with it. I mean, like, he's a pretty well-established coach now. So the idea that he wasn't back in America coaching was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I understand why they probably made that choice. And, because if he was coaching another team, he never would have left. It's just the way that it is. But they could have tried to find a way to be like, it's the end of the season. Anything else, it didn't make any sense. Here, it feels like we are really back in it.
Yeah, we're back in it. I think there's some very interesting conflicts that have been set up here for the future.
Yes.
We're going to get into all of that. But before we do, be sure to hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here covering Ted Lasso all season long. We love this show. We also just love hearing what you have to say about it, your own theories in the comments as well.
And be sure to join our YouTube memberships. We are going to have extra Ted Lasso videos going up over there just for our members. And it also helps support us here at the channel.
So thank you guys so much for your support there. Like it really, really does mean the world to us. So to me, I think one of the interesting storylines that they're kind of playing around with, like they're not fully there yet, is this idea that so much of episode 2 is about trying to give this women's team more respectability, more opportunities. Ted's able to keep Chilton on board, the locker room stuff, but there still is this underlying what's going to happen when we actually play. And this is kind of reflective through the press conference, right? Where Ted goes in there. We see some reporters, no Trent Krim, the independent, but a lot of other people. And like all of the questions are about the dudes, the men's team. Like he's still not even being asked questions about the women yet.
No, and he's even trying to move it towards questions about the women's team, and he is just not getting those questions. It's so frustrating to watch it happening, and you can see Ted's level of frustration with it as well.
Yeah, I think he came back with probably, I don't want to say he was naive, but I think he certainly felt like, okay, I'm an established enough name over here in Richmond. Like I had some level of success. So I think that's going to bring some more attention to this team. But I mean, there's a lot of this that is the reality of women's sports. Like we talked about in the premiere, I watched some WNBA, and a lot of those franchises, they don't play in the same arenas as the NBA franchises do. They have to go to these places with smaller seating. And I think the question now is, okay, once we get to the matches, what are the crowds going to be like? What are the revenues going to be like? That's stuff that Rebecca and Higgins are all going to have to deal with. But Ted sort of facing everything from the locker room to the press conference. These are these little drops of water that could kind of turn into an ocean as the season goes along.
Let's talk about that locker room. That was so funny and fun just to see Roy and Keely, who I think we're all rooting for, to get together. She comes up with this idea to be like, okay, we'll just use the men's visitors room. Like, it's a much better locker room. There's windows in it. It's much bigger. We can give them there's more than one shower. this whole
Yes.
team is sharing one shower, like abysmal conditions for the women's team. And then you go in there and it's like the lights are flickering, the benches are all sideways, and Roy comes in and reveals that it's all purposeful to make sure that the visiting team feels really uncomfortable there so that they maybe play a little less well.
This is so unbelievably accurate. Okay, I'm gonna
I
give a little bit of a
know.
story for a minute
Okay.
here. I did not play high school sports, but I was in high school marching band. And sometimes when we would go to other towns to go and, because we're supporting our own football team here,
Right.
we would end up having to be in the visiting team locker room a couple of times for like practice or preparing. They would have toilets, and I'm not even joking. I'm going to try to make this not as disgusting as it was just literally a wall. And you just was like, oh my God, what is this? Medieval times? But this all happens. One of my two favorite moments of this entire episode is Roy with this trained rat that he has apparently gotten out of some sort of stage production that he is using. This is so 100% Roy Kent. And I love that they've still kind of figured out ways to keep the soul of this character there, even though he hasn't played in a long time.
I loved it. I loved watching him pick up all the benches and like knock out the extra wood that made them all tip, including just lifting up Keely and knocking it out as well. The whole wall in the middle of it so that the team couldn't see each other. All to bring it around to watching the faces of the women's team
Yes.
come in, where they've got, their colors up, their numbers up, their names up, like just the joy
Yeah.
that's going to hopefully come out on the field.
Yeah, and I think this is something that a lot of men's athletes just take for granted. This idea that you have a nice locker room where you have nameplates, where you have more than one shower. And I think it really hits the point home. And I think, at times with Ted Lasso, it does toe the line of, okay, are we getting a little too wholesome for our own good? And I think that was a huge pitfall at the end of season 3 when you've got like the men's team singing songs from The Sound of Music. And I'm just like, what's going on here?
No, I agree. I mean, season 1 and 2 of this show was very hopeful, which is why I think everybody gravitated towards the show so much. It was hopeful without being a kind of hokey. And yeah, season 3 had some problems with that. But
Yeah.
going in here, I feel like they have really found their footing again, especially with everything that was going on in the locker room. I
Mhm.
mean, even just the exchange with Roy and Keely kind of talking about relationships, of keeping people apart, and that they're really talking about Ted and Beard.
Yes, yeah, that was really, really fun, and I think they did a good job giving us hope, but also still giving us major questions. It's like the great news for the women's team in this episode is that we have the rom-com moment with Ted and Beard. They're back together. Hopefully Beard can really clean himself up after all that facial hair issues.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he's really broken down about what happened with his relationship and
Yeah.
then losing Ted. I mean, he's really, let his beard go, let himself go. He's not doing very well. And it was so like fun to watch him like spying on Ted and,
Yeah.
making Ted's face out of paper clips and really missing working with Ted. It was something that really uplifted him and he felt really good about himself. And great to see Roy find a way to make that happen, to just go in and be like, hey, you violated this, you gotta go. Like, you can't be on my team, but you can be on anybody else's team here that you wish.
Is anyone else happy that Beard's love life kind of fell apart? Like, I feel bad for
Thank
Beard.
goodness.
She was not nice to him. Like, that was
No.
one of the weird happy endings from season 3. It's like we're supposed to feel good
No.
about Beard. Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, I know he's sad right now, but he's got Ted. He's got a new calling.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna be okay.
I totally did not like that love story romance. She was not nice to him. It was really toxic. I'm glad that they did not bring that back and they were just like, yeah, it's over.
Yeah.
Hopefully that means that the show understood that most of the audience didn't like it. So they
Yes.
didn't bring it back, and not a situation where we're going to have to see it again down the road.
Well, let's get into the players, because I think this is where some of the conflict is coming in, where we have these major wins for Ted. He's able to turn Chilton around on his side. Chilton, I think, is going to be a great counterbalance. She is more cynical. She is very analytics driven, but they have this star player, like this striker who feels like she was set up to sort of be the Jamie Tart
Yep.
of this team, immediately gets a serious injury, out for the season. So it's like whatever hope that they had performance-wise, it's now kind of out the window.
Yeah, they've given him a pretty serious challenge right away. And I think because of that, he really realizes on many levels how much he needs Chilton to stay. Like,
Yeah.
she really knows this team very well. She cares about this team a lot.
Mm.
All the analytics that she's done on this team. If they're losing their lead striker, then they really got to figure out a way to turn this around.
Yeah.
And Ted without Chilton, I like, maybe he can turn it around, but I really think he needs her.
Yeah, he needs...
Beard is not the person coming in to turn this around.
No, like they don't have that same like even relatability that Chilton does as a player.
Right.
And like I really appreciated the backstory at the end here too, because like I think we all wanted to have hope that, all right, there's always next season for the striker, right? There's always a chance of recovery. But I think learning about Chilton and her injuries and kind of the end of her career, it's sort of a reminder. And I think this is especially the case with women's sports right now, where you hear about a lot of dudes. It's like, oh, this guy blew out his Achilles. And then like 9 months later, it's like, yeah, they have access to like the best trainers and doctors in the world. And, you know, women's sports is getting there. But a reality is, for a lot of women, including probably Chilton when she was playing, that just wasn't there. There's no guarantee you do come back. And so you kind of have to look at this situation as serious, have hope that she can come back down the road, but kind of plan as though she isn't, and rely on Chilton's experience as a former player and Ted's inspiration. They can combine their powers and do some interesting stuff.
What's in the box? What's in the box? I think tinfoil hat, the way that it was shaped, it looked like a pen.
Yeah. I think this is the thing. I think it probably is either a pen, some sort of rolled up motivational. I wondered if there was anything in the box at all, because he just kind of assumed he was going to be able to get her back around.
Maybe, but because all he really knew about her is that she's very data driven, you know, this binder that is filled with information, that maybe he had gotten her something like a really nice pen.
The other new character I really like from this episode is Boots, who is the new goalie. And I okay.
Boots is so funny.
She's really funny. I mean, I really like this especially because they didn't really do much with goalies in the first 3 seasons of Ted Lasso. And also, not to keep bringing up marching band here, but it's just like goalies are portrayed here kind of like the drumline was for us, where it's just like, oh, these people are all just a little bit crazy.
Wild. Listen, I have a couple goalies in my family.
Oh, okay.
They are a special kind of goalies. They really are wild. I've also known a few drummers in my lifetime.
Yes.
They are the same. There's something that is a little bit wild about them.
I think maybe just a lot of it is that you're just coming from your slightly different position than the rest of the team. So you're not really training the same thing as everybody else. You're kind of off doing your own thing. You probably feel like an outsider. Maybe you're overcompensating. But then on top of all of this, Boots is doing something that feels to me very, very painful. I've never been a goalie, but I feel like if I was, I would probably wear the gloves.
Yeah, it's wild that she's just out here, no gloves.
I think there's more to this story than she's letting on at this point.
Could
like,
be.
I think that they've presented a story that feels suitable enough that, like, okay, Ted and Chilton, everyone else, they can buy it, but I don't think Ted is done with this, because this is the difference between him and Chilton. Is it's just like Ted wants to know all of his players inside and out. He wants to know what makes them tick, because then he can really help them. Of course, the irony from the original show was that Ted was very, very reluctant to help himself for a long time. But I think that that's kind of what we're going to be exploring there moving forward.
Okay, let's talk about Rebecca and Chilton, because man, this has gone really sour, and it sounds like it was already starting out pretty sour the minute that Chilton was mentioned, before we had even met her. Higgins, Rebecca, they were all like, we just don't want to deal with her. She's really sour. She's kind of a miserable person, without taking the time to figure out, you know, why that is, what's going on. And some of it is that she got passed over for Ted's position, even though she's been with this team for so long. She's been, you know, coaching them for a long time. She knows them really well. To get passed over for Ted and to get passed over as a female coach for a male coach, it definitely is coming into play with this whole thing with Rebecca, where, she's like, did you even consider me? No. Did you even consider any women coaching this team? No. And then you've got Rebecca, of course, in her head being like, well, why didn't I actually consider any women coaching this team? Is it because I know Ted and I know what Ted can do,
Mhm.
or is it something else? And watching her kind of spiral out and try to figure out why she made that choice was really interesting.
Yeah, I thought the press conference part of it was especially entertaining just because she keeps going up there with a million different qualifiers. I think, and from a
Watching Chilton walk by and her just standing in the corner of the doorway facing the wall to try to hide,
yeah,
her comedic timing is also spot on this season.
yeah, I think all of that was really, really funny. Like there was a period of time later on in this episode was where I was thinking, okay, are they continuing this a little bit long? But then I just was listening to what you were saying. I was like, yeah, it is going to keep living in her head. Like that is, it's
Yes.
not something that's going to go away for Rebecca because I think she really does care. Like I think she really does want to support women. And so I think that's why she's kind of running up against this issue and she's just like looking for reassurance from all these other people in her life.
That's the thing is like, I can see why Chilton is bringing this up and is
Mm.
just like, this is the women's team. There should also be a women's coach on this team.
Yes.
Okay, I get it, right? But if Rebecca is going for who she knows the best, who she gets along with more, and I
Mm.
think part of that is why she wants Ted back. She's seen and worked with Ted on what he was able to do with the men's team. So she wants to know that he can, if she's going to put money into this and she thinks that this might be a losing venture, she wants to have somebody that she knows that has already won for the men's team to
Yes.
come in and make that money back for the women's team. And because that hasn't been happening with Chilton, I think she really on her side is like, I know that Ted can do this because I've watched him already do
Yes.
it for me. And that it's less about the fact that, oh, I need to bring a man in. It's more of, I've watched him already win.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's coming from a good place with this. Like
I think so.
I think so too, but it's just like she's forgetting about this. I think Rebecca's going to figure this out throughout the season. I think it's probably going to be an ongoing thing, even if it's
Yes.
not front of line. Okay, I just want to show of hands. Is anyone else just really disappointed that Jamie Tart is off at FC Barcelona here?
Okay, I am. I am glad that they addressed it the way that they did. We didn't need to have a phone call or
Mm,
whatever, that it was just, hey, what about this question? Yeah, he's off doing something else. I mean, the actor has said that he's not coming back this season, but actors say whatever actors are going to say, right?
yes,
What's he supposed to say? Like, if there's a big surprise that he shows up at the end, he can't be in an interview before the season starts
yes.
being like, you know what? You got me. I'm going to be back later.
Well, this is the thing. I know that there's people who are going to say, oh, Phil Dunster, he was filming Rooster, but I'm going to tell you guys something. You know what Rooster and Ted Lasso have in common? They're both executive produced by Bill Lawrence.
Right.
I feel like if there's a way for Phil to turn up in some small capacity, he will. I was
Right.
kind of like looking around that men's locker room early on. I'm pretty sure I saw Danny Rojas' name. Still, and if you guys don't know, Crystal Fernandez, this is one of the coolest stories of all time. Like, he is actually playing professional soccer right now. Like, he has turned this into a real life thing. Like,
Yep.
hats off to him. I do hope we see them. Before we go, though, my absolute favorite moment of this episode, and I think it just speaks to the way in which Roy's relationship with Rebecca has evolved.
Yeah.
Him bringing in the biscuits, and it is just some sweaty,
Homemade.
nasty bag that he has thrown. He just like flings it on the desk, and he's trying to think about her, and he's doing it in the most wholesome Roy can't way, but this looks absolutely disgusting. It's
A
funny.
protein biscuit. Listen, it was funny.
Yeah.
It is so wholesome. I love that he has taken what he's learned from
Yeah.
Ted and is trying to replicate it in a way that he knows best.
Yes, it's meaningful, and I mean, it shows that that relationship has evolved, and I think it's also
Yes.
kind of showing us how they're still going to find ways to incorporate Roy here or there throughout the season. Because I don't think he's going to be leaving his job and joining Ted. I think he's probably going to stay with the men's team.
And I think he should. I mean, we can't just end up having the whole thing just be the same as we've already seen. Like, it's got to evolve, and we can't just bring back Jamie, Nate, everybody. Like, it needs to be its own thing as well, even though it is a season 4. It is a new team. It is a new era.
Well, that is where we are coming out of Ted Lasso season 4, episode 2. How are you guys feeling? Is this episode more old school Ted Lasso to you?
Yes, 10 out of 10.
I know.
I really enjoyed this episode.
I'm so happy we're back into this pocket here. So let us know in the comments. And as Jess said earlier, you can support us further by joining our YouTube memberships. We're going to have exclusive Ted Lasso content coming up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We will see you here next time.